This was an author who cared about learning, who cared about kids.
Thank you, Zig, for coming up with this program. We appreciate that our students are learning so much more than they did in the past.
Thank you very much for this wonderful reading program that promotes growth with our children.
Thank you very much for making me a better teacher and helping my kids to succeed.
Direct instruction is basically a simple way of teaching things so that a couple of things happen. One, everything you introduce is going to be consistent with only one possible interpretation. There will be no confusion. And then the second thing is we want to try to sequence it out so that it is doled out only one new thing at a time. But we're going to do it a step at a time and then very carefully sequence that. Finally, the kids get it. If it's easy because you have simplified the hard. It's not because you're taking some kind of shortcut here.
200 years, people travel from place to place by foot, by horse, or by water. 200 years ago, it took a long time to go from one place to another.
Well, the idea is to teach all the kids as quickly as possible, that you're able to accelerate learning because you're not going to reach tough spots. You're going to be able to teach everything because it's just a simple increment over what they're able to do at that point. So in fact, technically, you're dealing with about only 10% new stuff on any given lesson. You have to have a carefully graduated program or you're just going to overwhelm them. We figure that they're all capable of learning if we identify what they don't know and place them appropriately and then take them a step at a time so that they're able to achieve mastery and help them realize their potential.
Robbie dropped his backpack and sat down at the kitchen table. There was a big pile of pancakes on his plate, his favorite.
I love working with kids. That's the realm in which the programs have always been conceived and always operated, as teaching. I can certainly sympathize with what the teacher has to do. What a tough job it is when you work with low-performing kids, you turn them around, and your mission is to accelerate those kids as much as possible. You can deliver stuff to those kids that nobody else can deliver. They'll show you through their behavior that you made a big difference in their life. To provide kids with an education that would permit them to make the maximum number of possible choices about their future. You're going to teach all those kids, and you're going to teach them all the things they need to know. You know the kids are going to be able to learn the next thing you teach. If you set it up as a challenge, and you arrange your challenges so that they always succeed, they are going to learn the general rule that they can exceed the teacher's expectations. And if they can do that, they must be pretty smart huckleberries, right? And that's how they feel.
Summer vacation finally came and Tom's hopes were high, but they soon crashed with disappointment. He started to write a diary, but during 3 days, nothing happened that he could record in his diary, so he abandoned it.
It's really elegant when you can get it, but it takes a lot of work. And when it's all done, it's totally invisible. People look at the program and say, oh, there are kids responding. Yeah, that looks pretty simple. In fact, when we field tested a couple of the programs, teachers complained that it was too easy for the kids. And we'd ask them, well, did they learn everything the program attempted to teach? Oh, yeah. Well, then why was it too easy? They didn't struggle. And but if they learn more than they've ever learned, that should be sufficient. I mean, if they're learning it, that's really the only thing that counts.
He reached out to feel the straw around him, but his hand touched only the silk sheets of his enormous bed. Then he saw a dark form moving toward him, and the voice said, "What is your command?"
I have high expectations because I know it's achievable. We could take right now any failed schools, and if we had support from the district, categorically we could turn that school into superstardom. That was the purpose. It's all teachable, it's all systematic, and if it's done, all kids will be taught to read, not just the higher kids. I love teaching kids.
We have seen teachers feel confident now about their ability to teach reading, to teach math, to teach writing. So Zig Engelmann, thank you very much.
Thank you on the behalf of all of the 13-year-old kids that I instruct who have never been taught to read, that are finally getting the opportunity and are realizing they can do it.
Thank you for giving me something that I know will be successful with students.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thank you,
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thank you, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks,
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann. Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.
Thanks, Mr. Engelmann.